Alien Isolation is a single-player action-adventure game with stealth and survival horror features, in which the player controls the protagonist, Amanda Ripley, from a first-person perspective to interact with the environment. To advance through the game, the player must explore a space station and complete numerous objectives while avoiding, outsmarting and defeating enemies like human occupants or hostile androids. Objectives range from activating computers to collecting certain items or reaching a specific area in the game. The player has the ability to run, climb ladders, and sneak into vents. The player can also crouch and hide behind objects to break the line of sight with enemies, and covertly peek over or lean around to gain view. The player has also the ability to go under nearby tables or inside lockers to hide from enemies. Unlike previous video game adaptations of the Alien franchise, Alien Isolation features a single alien creature that pursues the player over the course of the game. The alien creature cannot be defeated, requiring the player to use stealth tactics in order to survive. Instead of following a predetermined path, the alien has the ability to actively investigate disturbances and hunt the player by sight or sound. Along the way, the player can use both the flashlight and a motion tracker to detect the alien's movements. However, using any of these increases the chance of the alien finding the player. For example, if the alien is moving and close enough, the tracker's sound will attract the alien, forcing the player to wisely use the tracker and remove it as soon as it detects motion. The motion tracker cannot detect enemies when they are not moving and cannot determine whether the alien creature is up in the ducts or on the ground level. Although the player can use certain weapons to defeat enemies, Alien Isolation emphasizes evasion over direct combat by providing the player with limited ammunition. The game features 4 weapons that become available as the player progresses throughout the game: a revolver, a shotgun, a bolt gun, and a flamethrower. The player can also craft several items by collecting schematics and different kind of materials throughout the game. Items range from EMP mines to noisemakers, Molotov cocktails and pipe bombs, among others. These items help the player deal with enemies and the alien. For example, the noisemaker can be used to attract enemies in one particular direction. The alien is afraid of fire, so using the flamethrower or a Molotov cocktail will force it to retreat into the station's ventilation system. The player has a limited amount of health which decreases when attacked by enemies. Nevertheless, the player can restore lost health using medkits, which can be crafted with materials in Amanda's inventory. The space station is divided into multiple sections connected by trams and elevators. Each section is composed of a set of rooms and corridors separated by doors. Some doors require certain actions to be performed first before entry is allowed. For example, some doors require a keycard or a numbered entry code, while others need to be cut with a variety of welding torches or hacked using an electronic device. The player may also encounter computer terminals that can be used to access information or trigger in-game actions like disabling security cameras or manipulating the space station's air purification mechanism. The game features an auto-map to help players navigate the different areas of the game. To save their progress, players need to locate a terminal in the game and manually insert Amanda's access card in it. If Amanda dies, the player will need to start the game again from the last saved point. In addition to the campaign mode, Alien Isolation features a separate game mode, called Survivor Mode, that focuses on short, player versus alien scenarios. In each scenario, the player needs to complete a set of objectives while avoiding the alien under a time limit. In 2137, 15 years after the disappearance of the Nostromo spacecraft, Amanda Ripley, daughter of Ellen Ripley, is approached by Christopher Samuels of the Wayland Yutani Corporation. Samuels informs her that the flight recorder of the Nostromo was recently located by a ship named the Anesidora and is being held aboard Sevastopol, a remote space station owned by the Seegson Corporation, in orbit around the gas giant KG-348. He offers her a place on the Weyland-Yutani team sent to retrieve it so that she can have closure regarding the fate of her missing mother. Ripley, Samuels, and Weyland-Yutani executive Nina Taylor travel to Sevastopol on board the courier ship Terrans, owned by Captain Diane Verlaine. The group arrives at Sevastopol to find the station damaged and its communications offline. Ripley, Samuels, and Taylor attempt to spacewalk over to the station to investigate, but their EVA line is severed by debris, and Ripley is separated from them and forced to enter the station on her own. Ripley attempts to find help, but is confronted by Axel, a survivor who explains that Sevastopol is out of control due to a monster loose aboard the station. Although Ripley convinces him to help her in exchange for a ride off the station aboard the Terrans, Axel is soon killed by said monster, an alien creature. After contacting Samuels and recovering medical supplies from the station's medical bay to treat an injured Taylor, Ripley reunites with the station's marshal, Waits, and his deputy, Ricardo. Waits explains that the alien was brought on board the station by Anesidora Captain Henry Marlowe, who is now in Waits' custody. After speaking with Marlowe, Ripley learns that the Anesidora crew discovered the flight recorder near the planetoid LV-426, where they also found a derelict ship previously found by the Nostromo crew and the nest of alien eggs contained within. While exploring the ship, Marlowe's wife was attacked by a facehugger. Marlowe then brought her aboard Sevastopol for emergency medical treatment, but an alien ultimately hatched from her. Waits convinces Ripley to help him contain the alien by luring it into a remote section of the station and sealing it inside. Ripley is successful, but Waits truly plotted to use Ripley as bait, and ejects the module from the station. As the module careens into space, Ripley manages to space jump back to Sevastopol using a Neva suit. Ripley makes her way back to Ricardo, who explains that the station's androids abruptly started slaughtering the remaining crew, including Waits. He also tells her that Samuels is attempting to interface with the station's controlling artificial intelligence, Apollo, to cease the rampage. However, Apollo's defensive countermeasures deactivate Samuels shortly after he managed to open a path for Ripley into Apollo's control core. Upon reaching Apollo, Ripley discovers that Seegson, who has been trying to sell off Sevastopol for years, has finally found a buyer, Weyland-Yutani, who instructed Apollo to protect the alien. When Ripley tells Apollo that the creature is no longer aboard the station and demands to cease all activity, Apollo refuses and turns its attention to the station's reactor. Ripley descends to the base of the reactor and learns that it has been converted into an alien nest. She then initiates a reactor purge to destroy the nest, but multiple alien creatures escape and begin to overrun Sevastopol in the process. Ripley learns from Ricardo that Taylor was sent by Weyland-Yutani to retrieve the alien, and that she freed Marlowe in exchange for the location of LV-426. However, Marlowe double-crosses her and takes her hostage aboard the Anesidora. Aboard the Anesidora, Ripley discovers a message from her mother after her initial report of the events on the Nostromo, thus finally giving her closure. Marlowe then appears with Taylor and tells Ripley that he plans to overload the Anesidora's fusion reactor and destroy the station, thus ensuring that no aliens survive. In the ensuing confrontation, both Marlowe and Taylor are killed by an electric discharge and Ripley is forced to escape the Anesidora shortly before it explodes. Ricardo tells Ripley that the Anesidora explosion destroyed Sevastopol's orbital stabilizers, causing the station to slowly drift into KG-348's atmosphere. Ripley and Ricardo manage to contact the Terrans for extraction, but Ricardo is attacked and paralyzed by a facehugger. After making her way outside to help the Terrans detach from the station, Ripley is surrounded by several alien creatures and then thrown into the ship due to a blast. Aboard the Terrans, Ripley makes her way to the bridge to find Verlaine, but is confronted by another alien. Still in her EVA suit, Ripley is cornered into the airlock and is forced to open it, jettisoning both herself and the alien into space. The final shot of the game depicts Ripley, adrift and unconscious in her EVA suit, suddenly awakened by a searchlight that crosses her face.